And to begin the story, I want you to look at 3 pictures. I'll give you about 7 minutes to think about how those 3 pictures, how maybe things have changed in those 3 pictures. Just look at these 3 pictures, take your time, and think about how things have changed. So I know many of you out there. So I know some of you are very kind, loving people. And so you're going to look at these 3 pictures and you're going to say, wow, it looks like this guy got older. Great. Looks like he doesn't have braces anymore. Again, kind. I also know others of you out there aren't as kind. And so maybe you're going to notice that there's some significant hair loss or some excessive weight gain. All those will be true. What these pictures don't show is my finances and how financially comfortable I was during each of those points in my life. So the first picture, top left, I'm a teenager and I have 0 credit card debt, as most teenagers do. The second picture, top right, I'm a teacher, high school math teacher extraordinaire, and I was sitting on $25,000 in credit card debt. The bottom picture, full-time dad, back down to 0 credit card debt. So how in the world does this happen? My dad has a master's degree. My mom a PhD. I have a master's in business. So how does all of that happen and I wind up with $25,000 in credit card debt? So the answer is that I never had a really full picture of financial literacy. I learned about coins, I learned about interest, yep, got it, but I never really connected all of the dots. So my freshman year of college, I was walking on campus, and there was a guy walking around with a clipboard, and he said, hey, would you like one of those basketball hoops that hooks to the back of your dorm door? I'm like, yeah, that'd be sweet. He's like, just sign up for this credit card. I'm like, no. I'm like, I don't want to do that. He's like, well, whenever you get it, just cut it up. I'm like, no big deal. I'm like, all right, that's a great idea. I get the basketball hoop today. He's like, it's in my bag. I'm like, cool. So I got my basketball hoop, signed up for my first credit card, and did not cut it up. Whenever I first got it, I let it sit there, and my plan was just not to use it. And I had an emergency. I think my girlfriend needed a new pair of jeans, and so I said, I'll pay this off at the end of the month. Well, 10 years, 3 credit cards later, $25,000 worth of credit card debt. So it took me another 10 years to pay off my debtors, to raise my credit score, and to clear my name. So think about your own financial health, right? Many of you may be sitting here with your own revolving credit card debt. And what do I mean by revolving? I'm talking about the amount of money that sits on your credit cards each month after you've already paid your statement balance. In 2018, the average US household revolving credit card debt was almost $7,000. What's even scarier is that number includes many of the households who have 0 credit card debt. So take those out of the mix and think about how high that number might actually go. Bless you. So if you can begin to agree that this is a problem, then the bigger question is, how do we address it? I'm a high school math teacher, so I teach exponential functions, and what do I hit? Compound interest, yep. As maybe a middle grade teacher, maybe you teach percents, and maybe you make connections to money, and that's great. And our elementary school teachers are teaching our youngest learners about the value of money, and those are all important things. But is it enough? Where do you think financial literacy belongs? Is it a math teacher problem? Is it a science teacher problem? Is it a STEM problem or a 4th-year math course problem? And I don't think that any of those, any one person should be responsible for taking on that big burden. We're going to hear, and you probably have already heard at this conference, a lot about STEM and the importance for STEM, and I couldn't agree more. I really think that financial literacy is something that I didn't think was very important until I went to go swipe that credit card on my second date with my wife, and it declined. And then I swiped another credit card, and that declined. And all of a sudden, I was sitting there on my second date with my wife, with my current wife now, and I couldn't pay for dinner. I had no cash. So that's pretty embarrassing for a guy wanting to take a girl out for dinner, and she had to pay. And she still married me, and man, that's saying a lot. But that 10 years that it took me to get out of that debt was some of the darkest 10 years of my life. And I mean, this is all while I'm teaching high school math. So I was making what I consider to be decent money, and I was still facing those kind of financial problems. So maybe you know calculus, maybe you don't. My students ask me this kind of question on just about a daily basis. And so maybe they're never going to need calculus in their life, and I certainly can see some students never needing calculus. But I think that they're all going to need to be financially literate, because they're going to need to be able to live within their means, create a budget, protect themselves with insurance, and plan for what may be, hopefully, a very long road ahead in retirement. Right, we just heard from Tracy, and initially she was talking about the increasing cost of college. I don't think that's going to be changing anytime soon. So take the increasing cost for college, take the roughly $7,000, right, that is the monthly revolving credit card debt, and I think that it's more important now than ever that students are financially literate. So the good news is I think we are making progress, right? If you do a quick Google search, it's not gonna be that hard to find lots of schools that teach financial literacy, that have this already in their program, K through 12, and that's really great. And it's even nicer, I think, to see some of the newer schools that are being created, and they are making connections between things that we already can probably agree, most of us, that STEM is really important, but maybe financial literacy is too. And so some of these newer schools are saying, we're gonna connect both of these. We're gonna connect STEM and financial literacy. So again, you're gonna hear from some of our other panelists about how important STEM is, and again, I can't agree more, but I really wanted to insert financial literacy into that conversation. Thank you.